So we've all felt that feeling of not enoughness, of doubt, of wondering why we keep ending up in certain cycles. Why do I keep dating the same person? Why do I keep quitting this job or that job? Or why aren't things lining up the way I want them to line up? Why am I trying to manifest and nothing is landing? Why are my prayers seemingly not being answered unless it's basically the bare minimum, just enough to get by? Why is that? And you sit and you wonder why about most of those things. And if you look and you find different things that you blame it on, it always leads back to, well, this trauma did this and this trauma did that, and I had this experience. And there's no forgiving it away. You have to actually do what people are referring to now as shadow work. As a part of my practice, we call it inner work, but the common name for it right now is shadow work, and I see it going wrong so much. People are giving out false information, and they don't come from a clinical standpoint nor a spiritual standpoint. They are just basically repeating memes and giving people false hopes, and it's just really, really saddening because a lot of the people that are going into it the wrong way are the people that designed it. So Western culture has taken it and made it something that it never was. Inner work is ancient as Kemet and as new as tomorrow. Like, inner work is a beautiful thing, but it's a constant thing. You can dig into the problems and dig the roots out so that you no longer have those trauma responses, that you are able to make better decisions. So people are often on this path and they think they're on this healing path and they're going on this healing journey. But when you think of it, are you aware of what's happening, or are you accepting what's happening? Are you forgiving people, or are you justifying their actions in order to get past it? Are you transmuting energies, or are you transcending to a different space because of something that you went through? Are you evaluating your circumstances and reevaluating your life, or are you evolving due to your previous transcendence? And people have begun to think that accepting, justifying, and transmutation and evaluation are the keys to healing, and they are not. They are the keys to staying stagnant, the keys to healing and truly healing your inner self, or doing your shadow work, as it's called, which is truly digging out the root of a problem. 9 times out of 10, a problem that occurred before the age of 8, and sometimes they occur after that if there is something truly traumatic and you hadn't experienced anything that traumatic early on, then yes, it can happen later. But learning to be aware and knowing what that truly means. Awareness isn't just, I know what's going on. It's so much more than that. And they're not truly forgiving, so they're justifying. Well, I can get past this with this person because I know they were in a bad space. That's justification. That's not forgiveness. Forgiveness is where awareness and acceptance come in. Acceptance is more part of forgiveness than it is a base point. Forgiveness is simply put, there are steps to forgiving, but forgiveness is simply, I accept that you did what you did, and if you could do it again, you would. I accept that this is what it is. I accept that you made the best decision that you knew how to make at the time at my expense. I accept these things. And I'm okay with the fact that I cannot change them. And I'm not upset with you about it. I have no emotional attachment to said thing. forgiveness means I no longer hold others responsible. I'm not holding you responsible. I'm not holding myself responsible. There's nothing to be held responsible for because I accepted it. And because I accepted it and I decided that I'm going to be okay with it, I have to let it go completely. And I understand that there is no changing it. If you could change it, you probably wouldn't, because you would still have the same knowledge that you had at the time. And I'm okay with that. That's what forgiveness looks like, and that's hard to swallow. So people say, yes, I forgive my rapist, yes, I forgive my abusive parent. But you're saying you're okay if you were back in that situation and they did it again. True forgiveness is that just blanket, just I know that there's nothing I can do about it, past, present, or future, and thriving in that. And once you get to a point of that, you no longer have to transmute energy. People are taking on transmutation like it's this big, beautiful thing. Oh, I just transmute negative energy and turn it into something great. Well, sweetie, that means you're still holding on to it. You're supposed to transcend through that. You are not supposed to transmute it. Transmutation has its place in moments, but long term, it just makes you a darker individual with unpure intent. To continually transmute negativity changes your own personal intent. So now I'm going through things, I'm getting in cycles on purpose because I know this negative cycle is going to give me this energy to create this thing. So I'm going to take this negative energy and transmute it. So you're going to put yourself in situations where you have to do that subconsciously because you need the energy, and it changes who you are. So you have to learn to forgive, that hard forgiveness, the only true forgiveness, in order to transcend. Once you transcend, you move to evolution. But most people never get to transcendence because they never get to forgiveness. They justify, then they transmute. And once they transmute, they evaluate. Okay, well, I saw this is what I came up with. How many of you know your problems? I know what my problem areas are. I know me better than anybody knows me. I know how to take the negative and turn it into a positive. I understand that it is what it is. I understand that people do what people do. Sweetheart, those aren't real answers, and those aren't real things. Those are more justifications and more acceptance. It went all the way back to the beginning because it's a cycle. You evaluate, then you accept, and then you justify. Then you try to transmute it to make yourself feel better, and then you're back at evaluation. So we don't want to evaluate. Once you transcend, it truly is what it is because you created it to be that way. And then you evolve. You evolve into a new creature, and it's still its own cycle because once you evolve into this new creature, this new person, this new being, you become aware of it. And think of that new awareness of how great you've become when you do things the right way, when you learn this process, when you learn how to be aware, when you actually learn how to truly forgive, you learn transcendence into evolution, right out of evaluation. Because if you've done this before, you may be at that point in your cycle where you're evaluating. You may be at a point in your cycle where you're accepting. You may be at a point in your cycle where you're justifying or transmuting energy. I say now it's time for you to get off of that cycle and get onto the cycle that actually is going to propel you forward. Propel you forward in abundance, propel you forward in love, propel you forward in life, period. Getting you to the space in life where you actually want to be, where you can manifest those true desires. And if you could do this work alone, if you could do the inner work alone, the shadow work alone, you'd have done it already. You've done it already. And because you haven't, and because you're here, it means you actually need help doing it. And the only person that can help you do it is someone who's done it themselves. someone who wrote the book on it. So we have a community. We have books. I am so not a salesperson, but I'm going to try to help you get what you actually need at a price that you can afford it. And a lot of the things we do are completely and utterly free. Hopefully a lot of you took advantage of the free readings that I did for about 2 months straight. So we do a lot. We give back a lot because the goal of this is to help us transcend and help us evolve.